Hello everyone, Kagamin Kawa here, and welcome to today's video. First of all, I want to say I apologize in advance for the audio quality. I got 3 fans pointed at me and there's a 4th fan back there. The window is also open as well. It's a very hot day in my home state of Maryland. I mean, it is just blazing, and I really want to get this video out, so I apologize in advance for any of the noise in the background. I'll try my best to suppress that in the edit. But I just wanted to come on here today to say thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. I've wanted to do YouTube since I was little, and it feels great to be able to do it now for all of you guys and entertain people and entertain my real life friends and my internet friends and the wider Thomas community. It really means a lot to me. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who submitted questions. I will be sure to answer all of you guys' questions. I've always wanted to do a Q&A video since I was little. I always just wanted to be a YouTuber, as you know. I'm sure that's not a crazy thing to say in the big 2026, but yeah, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. I've always wanted people to ask me questions. I've always wanted to yap on camera, and thank you guys so much for giving me that opportunity. We're gonna have a lot of fun today answering these questions. I'll be sure to link everyone who left questions in the description, and I'll be sure to show the questions up on screen as well, so you guys know who asked what. Okay, so without any further padding, let's just get straight into the video. Tank Engine Media, I've seen you comment a few times. Hello, my friend. This person asks, what is your favorite Thomas OC? It could either be one you've made or one from the whole fandom. I like that question a lot. Thank you very much. Now on to the answer. As far as an OC I've made, there are a lot of original characters that I have created for my series and also just for fun that I could mention, but I think for the sake of this video, I'm just going to mention one of them, and that one is Jasmine, the 2MT tank engine IVIT design. This is a character that is very sentimental to me. The origins of this character was originally, she started life as a different character in like 2018 on my old channel. You know, this was a different sort of character I was doing, and I played around that character for a few years. That concept lay dormant until 2023 when Richard Audrey, I believe it was, confirmed that Barry the Rescue Engine, the scrapped Lost Media Thomas character, he was actually going to be an IVIT 2MT tank, not an IVIT tender engine, as we originally believed in the fandom for the longest time. And when this revelation came out, I was like, hey, I have an OC, which at the time was most recently depicted as an IVIT. You know, I should rework this character, give it a new name, give it a new backstory, tweak the personality a bit, and make stories with it, and say it's my version of Barry the Rescue Engine, because he's already an IVIT 2MT tank in the Thomas universe. His name is Arthur, and I like the Arthur character quite a bit, but you know, I felt that the story I wanted to tell and the vision of this character Jasmine that I made would be better suited for a wholly original character than imposing that onto the already existing Arthur or Barry characters. And plus, you know, Jasmine is a girl, and it's always nice to sprinkle in a bit more girls into the Railway series canon. All of the engine characters in the Railway series are male. The ones on Sodor, at least, they're all male. And you know, we could get into a whole conversation about that, but the bottom line with me is, you know, I like telling stories about wide varieties of characters and backgrounds, and I really think this Jasmine character is one that you guys will relate to a lot. Her story has changed quite a bit since I first came up with it all the way back in 2023. In fact, the story's even older than that. It's a very personal story to me. I've imposed a lot of myself onto this character, and I'm currently working on customs of this character so that I could tell the story with my take and play trains and my series rolling around on Sodor coming soon. And I'm just really excited for you guys to see what I got cooked up with this character. So yeah, I would say my favorite Thomas OC that I have made is Jasmine the Rescue Engine, which is my version of Barry the Rescue Engine and Arthur from Thomas the Tank Engine, the TV show. So there you go, there's the answer to that question. As for my favorite OCs from the fandom as a whole, I've been the Thomas fandom since I was a little kid. It wouldn't be right to neglect every single OC that I've loved over the years, but I think I'm gonna choose 3 for this video. And those 3 OCs are Richard the New Engine, the Thin Controller, and Brad. Now we're going to go through these guys one by one. Richard the New Engine was created by the Barry Truck and brought to screen by Carson's Video Workshop. Great team of people that do these train simulator video game Thomas episodes in the style of the classic Thomas model show, but it's like an animated thing, and it's a really good series that inspires me a lot. I believe the Richard the New Engine stories were some of the first stories they did under the Video Workshop name, and those were stories that really resonated with me and my friends. I really love Richard the New Engine. He feels like such a natural addition to the Thomas cast. He's so bubbly and energetic and kind of eccentric. And just has an endearing way of speaking. There's sort of an innocence about him that's similar to like a younger Engine. But, you know, Richard is a big, tender Engine. So, you know, you got that contrast where it's like he is considered one of the big Engines with Gordon, Henry, and James. But, you know, he's not at all a mean or malicious character. He's sort of a sweetheart, gentle giant. He's friends with Thomas and Percy. And, you know, the little Engines, it's just a cool sort of character. And I really admire the Barry Truck and Carson and all those people for bringing Richard to life and letting us enjoy the story, because it really is a very good story. I highly recommend, if you're a Thomas fan or just someone who's curious, to pop over to Carson's channel and watch the Richard the New Engine saga, as well as the Boat Train and a few other ones where Richard features in, like the Lazy Loco, I believe, or maybe it's one that precedes that. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but yeah, the Richard character is a very fun one that means a lot to me personally. The next OC I want to mention is the Thin Controller, created by Enterprising Engines 93. Now, the Thin Controller is a real Thomas and Friends character, several characters, but Enterprising Engines 93, or Matt, he created this version of the Thin Controller, Mr. Roger Sam, that was very sprightly and sort of fatherly and adventuring swashbuckler with a rock star wife. It's a really crazy sort of series he has. It's probably one of the biggest inspirations for my series rolling around on Sodor. Enterprising Engine 93 was always able to craft these really interesting stories with the human characters of Sodor, both his original ones and existing Audrey ones or ones from the TV show. And I really admire the Thin Controller in his series. You know, he's a character with so much depth and lore and backstory, and he has such a snazzy outfit. And the voice actor, one of Matt's old teachers from high school, I believe, the guy is just giving his all. He's a very talented voice actor and actor from what I can tell, and he really brings the Thin Controller character to life. I highly recommend you guys watch his series because it's just a work of art. But yeah, I would say his version of the Thin Controller is one of my favorite OCs from the Thomas fandom as well. Next Thomas OC I want to bring up is Brad, the S100, created by M. Clutter Buck and brought to screen by Sire M.I., I believe it's called. Now, I've been watching Sire M.I.'s content, Cookie Monster for Sale. I've been watching his content pretty much since I was a kid. I was watching his videos with the crazy talk, like where they would put the animated mouths over the train simulator video game characters to make it look like they were talking. It was very interesting technology that they were doing back in the day, still doing now. And I was watching this guy's videos, and I was really fascinated by this Brad, the S100 character. You know, he's so smooth and charismatic and kind of like a troll in a lot of ways. You know, he's just so cheeky and smug and just endearing in like a crazy sort of way. This character is just so entertaining and charming. I just really love this character, and the voice actor really brings it to life. Off the top of my head, I forget who voices Brad, but you know, it's a very fitting voice for the type of character that Brad is. And that's all I really wanted to say. You know, I really like that Brad, the S100 character, created by M. Clutterbuck and brought to screen by Sire M.I. If you want to find out about this Brad character yourself, there's sort of a book series, you could call it. Not actually a book, but like it's a bunch of videos structured like a railway series book, and those videos feature the Brad character. It's the Truck Trilogy, I think it's called. And those 3 episodes are all part of the Truck Trilogy. They all star Brad. Most of them star Jinty as well. I'm pretty sure Duck is in all of them. It's a really great series that I love, that I was very nostalgic for when I was a kid, and also still really like now. That guy's writing style and content is, you know, that's a bar to reach for me. They write very snappy content over there, very snappy, entertaining content. I just wanted to bring up how much I admire them and Carson's Video Workshop and Enterprising Engines 93 for quite frankly, making my childhood and also inspiring me to this day. So there's your question and answer, Tank Engine Media. Okay, so you also asked my favorite locomotive classes from real life, either scrapped or preserved. Doesn't matter what country they're from. That's a very good question. American-wise, I really love the AEM7s, the GG1s, the S100 tanks, any EMD diesels in general. I'm a really big fan of their diesels. I would say the prime of American steam in general. I know that's cheating, but you know, those streamlined steam engines and diesels and electrics zipping around the East Coast and wherever else. It was just, that was such an era, and I love all those old posters, and I love seeing those trains in the museums. Just a very great era of American railroading. And, you know, the S100 tanks are very iconic. You guys may know them better as Rosie from Thomas and Friends. She's an S100 tank. Really love the S100 tanks. The GG1s and AEM7s, you know, very iconic American electric locomotives, especially in the history of Amtrak, which I also love. Big fan of those guys. UK-wise, I love Oliver Bulleid's locomotives. Very odd-looking locomotives, steam or otherwise, but you know, I'm just a big fan of those designs. I'm a big fan of some of those diesel designs and steam engine designs because they're very different looking, and I love the wheel design too on most of them, like the Bulleid styled wheels. I don't know, something about them is just so interesting. I'm really endeared to them. I don't know why, but yeah, those are very cool wheel designs and locomotive designs in general. Very big fan of Oliver Bulleid's work. I'm a big fan of the Nagiri Mountain Railway in India. Big fan of the whole scene over there, steam diesel engines. You guys may know the steam engines over there as the basis for Ashima from Thomas the Tank Engine. Very fascinating system they have over there, great history. Very interesting how they've innovated on it and spun off from it from the original origins, and how it's used today in contemporary use as well. It's just a very, very fascinating system that is worth reading up on. And spoiler alert, my version of the Coldefell Railway takes great inspiration from this mountain railway system and other mountain railway systems similar to it all over the world. So yeah, just a fascinating system there. Now then, what is my favorite Thomas and Friends toy line, and what is my least favorite? My favorites are the motorized range, Tomy, Trackmaster, Play Railhead Toy Company, whatever you want to call it. Those were really great toys that you could push around or use the batteries on. They had such a wide variety of characters as well, and all those play sets and accessories were just really great. It was like peak Thomas toy in my opinion. It was my favorite growing up. But I also really loved the take and play, take along ranges till about 2013 or so, when Mattel really cheapened it out. But before that, it was like a peak diecast range. Way better than Ertl. You know, I love Ertl for what it is, but the take and play, take along range is just way more versatile. It's way more durable. It's got better wheels. It's got better couplers. The magnets, people love the magnets, okay? My friends who play with my toys, they love the magnets. Take along, take and play is one of the best ranges for that reason. I had a couple of phases where I really loved Wooden Railway as a kid. It was never my number one, but you know, there's a great deal of respect I have for the Thomas Wooden Railway range and its longevity and universalness before, of course, Mattel came along and killed it. Rest in peace. My least favorite ranges are probably Thomas Wood from 2017 to 2018, Take and Play from 2014, and Trackmaster 2014. Thomas Wood was just an insult to the consumer. The audacity to give us half-painted engines and try and spin it as some type of environmental message is just an insult. Like, to try and say that was an improvement to the universal Thomas Wooden Railway range, that was insulting of Mattel to do. That was one of the most insulting things they ever did, in my opinion. Take and Play 2014, by comparison, is not as bad, but you know, it's just kind of squished. Its portions are weird. The magnets are no longer good. Like, they have the dummy magnets, we call them, where it's like they only connect one way, or there's like a weak connection, if you get what I mean. Plus, they're just so big and ugly. I really don't know why Mattel did that. It was a strange choice. And also Trackmaster 2014. Now, people's opinions on this range have, from what I can tell, gotten a lot better over the years, and I respect that. Admittedly, to me, it's not that bad of a range. It could be way worse, but in comparison to what came before, and also, again, trying to push this product as better, even though it's a cheaper product, is, again, insulting the consumer. Trackmaster 2014 is not very good. I know it's been around for a very long time now, over 10 years, wow, but it's just not a good product, and I'm just not satisfied that this replaced the legacy Trackmaster products. It just doesn't sit right with me. Okay, Mr. Muddy 850 asks, and also thank you for asking this question, my friend. I've seen you in the comments a few times. I just have one simple question. What is your ranking of the Thomas movies? That is not a simple question, my friends. That is a very loaded question. There are 14 movies. That is a lot of yapping. I'll probably save this for its own separate video, but for now, I'm just going to do a lightning round. I think the greatest Thomas movies, in no particular order, are Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, Hero of the Rails, Blue Mountain Mystery, and The Adventure Begins. I say these are peak Thomas movie because they take what we know and they put a new spin on it, and they go really crazy and action-packed, but also really fun and sentimental as well. And to me, this is the perfect Thomas anything, you know what I mean? It takes, like, for example, Lost Treasure and The Adventure Begins take what Audrey wrote, whether it be the Little Western extension idea, original Railway Series books in general, and these two movies spin those off and create something new, a new canon with the CGI characters, or a new story like in Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, and they do it in a way that I think is tasteful, because, you know, you take these things that die-hard fans know and love, and you take these Audrey elements and you put like a modern spin on them, and you add your own original elements, and you punch up the script a lot, and I just think these two movies are peak when it comes to that. And then Hero of the Rails and Blue Mountain Mystery, they're very innovative movies because, you know, they sort of rewrite the Sodor lore in a couple of ways, honestly. Hero of the Rails rewrites the Sodor lore to have Hero be the first engine, which I personally don't mind. And also, it's just such a wild movie. Spencer, who at this point in the series was like this surly, snooty sort of character, in this movie they take it to like a cartoonish extreme. Spencer, instead of doing his work, he's just spending all day spying on Thomas. And Thomas is out here trying to restore Hero, the master of the railway, the first ever engine on Sodor. You know, Thomas is out here trying to fix him with his friends, and Spencer's in the shadows sort of scheming on him. And it's like, dude, Spencer, get a job. Like, what are you doing, bro? You're just spying on Thomas all day. What's going on? But it's genuinely a really heartfelt and entertaining movie. Same with Blue Mountain Mystery. Very, very heartwarming story about Luke and Victor and Thomas and the narrow gauge engines. And same with The Adventure Begins. A lot of people have issues with The Adventure Begins because of some of the characterization. I do as well, but, you know, overall, I think it does an amazing job at taking what we once knew and spinning it into a new narrative. Because you have to remember, it's different canons, okay? The CGI canon is its own beast. The model series is its own beast. I know that's technically a fan interpretation, but if you really think about it, it makes the most logical sense. Because there's no way that this canon is meant to be the same one as the 1984 show. It just doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to go into more details on all these movies in their own video, but for the sake of this video, we're kind of going to breeze through the rest of them. Tale of the Brave is an amazing movie. I have no flaws with it. The only reason I don't group it with the greatest ones is because, me personally, when I'm asked what my favorite Thomas movie is, I'm more inclined to say Lost Treasure, Hero of the Rails, or Blue Mountain Mystery. And then you gotta have The Adventure Begins up there, because that's an anniversary classic. That was the peak of Thomas. Tale of the Brave, though, very good movie. Very good emotional beats. Probably the most emotional movie out of all these movies, except maybe Blue Mountain Mystery. But, you know, Tale of the Brave is like, it's up there. It gets you in the feels. And it's a great Percy story. It's a great Thomas story. James being the antagonist for a bit, that is very fresh, very fun. It's such a great movie with great characters. We'll go into it more another time. After those movies, we have The Great Discovery, Journey Beyond Sodor, and The Great Race, which are good movies in my opinions. They have their flaws, but overall, I can watch these movies without how do you say, without losing my mind, if that makes sense. I think these are very good, very competent movies. That's all I have to say on that. Now, for flawed good movies, for me personally, that's Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Calling All Engines, and King of the Railway. These three movies are really good, but they have things that hold them back. Magic Railroad is a really, the best way I can describe it, it's a very passionate movie. It is indeed a Thomas production that was made by the people who originally made it, and I respect that. It went off in a totally different direction from what Thomas is, but I can't bring myself to hate the movie because there's so much love in it, and there's so much good acting, and there's so much just, you could tell everyone a part of it had a good time. And it's, you know, it's Alec Baldwin playing Mr. Conductor and Neil Crone as Diesel 10. How could I possibly speak too badly about this film, you know? But we'll go into that in greater detail another time. Calling All Engines, I actually really like this movie, but the only part of it that kind of drags it down for me is the learning segments. I mean, I don't really have a problem with everything else, but the learning segments kind of drag it down. That's why I have it as a flawed movie, because, you know, with the learning segments a part of it, it just feels like an overly long episode. But if you cut those out, it's basically a special event. But again, we're kind of going through this really fast because we don't really have the time to spare. But if you guys are interested, I will make my video going into detail on every single movie. Maybe my own Thomas retrospective. Would you guys like to see that? Who knows? But yeah, King of the Railway, great movie. I have fond memories of getting this movie as a gift in 2013. My mother was getting this package from Indonesia. We're Indonesian, and she was opening the package. There was a bunch of food and stuff, and in the same package was the King of the Railway DVD. I still got it. Great movie. I loved it a lot when I was a kid. I still love it now, but looking back, it is kind of flawed. The plot is a little bit disjointed, and you know, it's a bit, the animation is a bit, it takes you out of it sometimes, in my opinion, because it's a bit, it's hard to explain. Like, the nitrogen stuff is aged, not the best, but it's still cohesive, if you get what I mean. King of the Railway is kind of, it's not badly animated, it's just very sloppy at times. I think it takes you out of the experience, but it is a very good movie. Steven's a very good character. The Earl is an amazing character. The Earl of Sodor is just, I love that guy. But, yeah, we'll go into greater detail on all this another time. Guilty pleasure movie, Day of the Diesels. I can't bring myself to say Day of the Diesels is a bad movie, because truthfully, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Me and my best friends, my old best friend, Freddie, we used to call each other, and I used to play the movie for us on my DVD player, and we would watch it together on call. And this man, Freddie, and I, we would just be laughing because the plot was just so nonsensical. Diesel 10 was just the ultimate cornball. They brought him back and just turned him into... Admittedly, he did have aura in the movie, but it was just... The movie's just so dumb in, like, the best way possible, because the steam engines and diesel engines have, like, this Avengers-type conflict, like this Civil War-type conflict, and the climax of that movie is just off the walls, insane, like, oh my god. But we'll save that conversation for another time. Like I said, we're gonna lightning round through the last two. Misty Island Rescue is a bad movie, but I do not believe it is the worst movie. It is a bad movie because it's just a very poorly executed story. I actually don't think the plot is that bad. I think a story about this mysterious island near Sodor and these mysterious goofball engines and a Sodor era, a steam era underground tunnel and a rescue center. These ideas don't offend me in general. They're not ideas that make me go grr. It's just like, okay, I could see how this could work. They just didn't do it that well. Misty Island Rescue is a nonsense movie with nonsense dialogue and nonsense character decisions, but it's really only bad because the writing isn't the best. The animation's really good. The voice acting is really solid. The cast, in my opinion, is really good. Like, we got Whiff in there. Whiff is a curveball. As a kid, I actually liked this movie because of the Whiff in it. I was like, they got Whiff in here doing stuff? Like, since when does Whiff do anything? That was amazing. But yeah, they got Whiff in there. The Logging Locos, I'm personally not a fan of these characters, but I fundamentally understand what they're meant to be. You know, I understand the comedy behind them. I personally don't really like them, but I can understand why they exist. And the Search and Rescue Center, while that is sort of a gimmicky concept, like a Paw Patrol type thing, I'm not offended by it. I think the concept could work. I mean, Chug Patrol and Chuggington, it's basically that. And Chug Patrol and Chuggington is great. But, like I said, this movie is only bad because of the writing. Everything else ranges from decent to pretty damn good. Now, as for the worst movie, that has to go to Big World, Big Adventures. Now, while Big World, Big Adventures is more watchable than a lot of the movies on this list, I just cannot in good faith say that it's a bad movie. It has to be the worst movie because this movie is an insult to the viewer's intelligence. I'm not going to go out and say anyone who worked on this movie was a bad person because that's not appropriate. That's not my place to say. But what I will say is, as a person of color who loves Thomas the Tank Engine, you know, it deeply upsets me that this movie greatly generalized foreign countries. It sort of had this tacky sort of way of approaching other cultures, and for a movie that was like this big adventure, you know, Thomas going around the world, it was just very nonsensical, and not nonsensical in like a funny, so hot, so bad it's good way, like Day of the Diesels, or nonsensical in a way to where we can kind of ignore it, like the climaxes of those 4 great movies I mentioned at the beginning. Those are kind of nonsensical, but I could ignore it or get engaged with it because it's written in a believable way. Big World, Big Adventures is just an insult to the intelligence of Thomas fans, and it's an insult to children and adults of these different cultures, because you're basically just perpetuating stereotypes and releasing a product that's meant to virtue signal and be like, oh, we're so progressive for having this diversity, when in all actuality the diversity is not very good. Now, there are some beats in Big World, Big Adventures I like. I think Ace is an okay character. He's like a C-tier character. He's entertaining enough. I don't really have a problem with Ace. Nia in the movie I actually love a lot. She's got this very social personality. She's very smart. You know, I mean, of course she is. That's a black woman we're talking about. Very smart, very resourceful. She doesn't put up with Thomas's nonsense. She doesn't put up with Ace's nonsense. She's very fun, friendly, like I said. And if this version of Nia was in the show, I feel like a lot of people would come around to Nia. But then again, you know, a lot of people just never warmed up to Nia because, let's be honest, racism and sexism. That's the reason a lot of people never warmed up to Nia. A lot of people don't like Nia's design. I understand why, because from a corporate standpoint, yes, she was made to be the token black. But I think on a deeper level, it would have been worse if they made her change her design when she came from Sodor, if they never gave her that design to begin with, because then that would be kind of like a simulation, you know? It would be like assimilating to a different culture with under the implication that she should not be proud of the culture she is from, or that she has to shake that culture in order to be accepted into Sodor, you know, that Eurocentric sort of belief standpoint. But yeah, that's my ranking of all the movies. I'm going to try not to make this segment too long. If you guys want to hear my greater thoughts on it, I'll make a separate video. But thank you very much, Mr. Muddy, for asking that question. Sodor Down Under. Very good commenter you are. I see a lot of your comments. Mad respect to you, my friend. If you could choose one engine from each major Thomas toy line, motorized, wooden railway, die-cast, etc., that never got made, who would you pick to be made in each? Amazing question, my friend. For motorized, I would have loved Daisy, Class 40, or Millie. Daisy was originally going to be made, I believe, in Hit Toys, but they said they didn't because they didn't know what trucks to give her. But me personally, I don't really believe that, because it's like, Diesel 10 didn't pull trucks either, and you guys just gave him trucks, so you could have just given Daisy like 2 milk tankers, or a milk tanker in a truck, or a milk tanker in a van, or a milk tanker in a cattle car, because you could have put the bull inside, or, you know, alluded to that, you know. But yeah, I think a Hit Toy era Daisy would have been great. Of that level of detail that the Hit Toy company was dishing out at the time, I think that would have been amazing. Class 40 is a given. More long diesels in that range would have been great. Class 40 is a great design. Could have made some great customs if they made a Class 40 in the Trackmaster range. Would have loved that. Millie was originally going to be made by Mattel in 2013, but she was canceled in the Trackmaster range. Very unfortunate. I really wish we could have gotten Millie, because, you know, the King of the Railway hype back then was great. I have a soft spot for King of the Railway, like I said previously, so I really wish we could have gotten Millie in that era, because all the new characters from that movie were pretty amazing. And this is kind of cheating, but I kind of wish Hit Toy Company did a redo of Oliver for the American market, but also for all markets, with like a new mold, because the Tommy Oliver mold isn't really that good. Like, I would still want a Tommy Oliver. I wanted one when I was a kid. I still don't have one. If I were to get one, that would be cool. But like, a different Oliver mold would have been awesome, because the one we got wasn't really that great. For Wooden Railway, this is kind of cheating again, because I'm going to name multiple characters. I would have liked to see Rex, Yang Bao, Rajiv, Hurricane, Frankie, Merlin, Lexi, and Theo. And the reason I say these guys is because some of the great race characters and all of the Journey Beyond Sodor characters basically got snubbed, because in 2017, Mattel decided to kill Wooden Railway and replace it with Thomas Wood. So we never got like really detailed, nice Wooden Railway toys of those characters. Would have been nice to get them, you know, because we had a Wooden Railway Mike and Bert, Mike and Bert, they're not complete without their brother, their homie, Rex. That ain't right. So I would have liked to see that completed. Yongbao and Rajiv, they just have like really nice patterns and stuff. Would have loved to see them in Wooden Railway. Hurricane Frankie and the whole Journey Beyond Soda crew, those would have made amazing toys, honestly. Like that movie, I got those characters, the experimentals, I'm kind of iffy on them, but as toys, I'd eat it up. I would have loved like really high quality toys of those guys because they have amazing designs. Oh my god, imagine the play features. But we'll have liked to see those guys in the Wooden Railway. Rest in peace, Wooden Railway. Again, we're coming up on 10 years of Wooden Railway being gone. Time flies. But die-cast line, right. I would have loved to see Ertl do Rosie or Billy or Whiff had they lasted a little longer. I could imagine those being like really chunky, like in the style of the 2003 UK Ertls they did. I would have loved an Ertl Rosie or an Ertl Billy or an Ertl Whiff. That would have been a chunky toy. I would have really loved to have those and play with those and use those in a series. Take-along wise, I would have loved to see the express coaches, old slow coach, some troublesome vans, and if we're talking strictly engine characters, Boko and Derek would have been cool too. Get some more diesels in there, because the only long diesel we really got in the take and play range at first was, Daisy and Diesel 10. And then we got Class 40 many, many years later in 2014, 2013, 2012 even. I'm not even sure when that was. I think it was 2013. But anyways, yeah, I would have loved to see Boko and Derek because I remember playing with my Ertl Derek on like that spiraling take-along set. And it wouldn't fit, but I just really wanted Derek to be a part of it because I love that episode, Double Teething Troubles, from season 5. Derek was just a cool character. I just wanted a toy of him. But yeah, that's my answer to your question, homie. Thank you so much for asking. And continue to comment on my videos because I love reading your comments. Everyone check out Sodor Down Under's channel. Very nice person who comments on my videos. Now, Star Runner 99 asks, what are your feelings on Thomas and the Magic Railroad? I kind of glossed over it in the first segment of this video, and I'm probably going to gloss over it again because we don't have the time. But what I will say is, do I like Thomas and the Magic Railroad? I think it's easier for me to say yes. It's easier for me to say yes. I do definitely think it was the pivot of the end of classic Good Thomas and the start of the downfall. But I can't bring myself to hate this movie. There was a lot of love poured into it. Britt Allcraft was very passionate. Mara Wilson, Peter Fonda, Alec Baldwin, Doug Lennox, the guy who played Patch, the guy who played Junior. They all brought their A game in my opinion. You could make little jokes about their performances or whatever, but in my opinion, their performances made the movie. And Neil Crone as Diesel 10.
I'm gonna destroy her and dominate you! And then...
groundbreaking. That's the reason everyone breaks the lore of their Thomas series, just to move Diesel 10 in there. Because Diesel 10 is like a top 10 Thomas character. Maybe a top 5, and maybe that's controversial to some people. Like, how could you put Diesel 10 above the Kawa on the line, or Audrey's random mid-Sodor model? But in my opinion, Diesel 10 is a top 5 Thomas character, and I will go into greater detail about my feelings of Thomas and the Magic Railroad at another time. But for you, my friend, I will tell you right now, I think the movie it's okay. If I'm being objective, it's a decent, okay movie. But if I'm speaking from my heart, I love the movie, I love the cinematography, I love the music, I love the model work, I love the acting. But it is fundamentally not a successful Thomas the Tank Engine movie. And one could even argue it's not a successful Shining Time Station movie either, because Stacy Jones is barely in it, Billy Two Feathers is barely in it, Schemer, the whole villain character I think it was in Shining Time Station, that dude is just completely absent. Like, what's up there? That was strange. That's my feelings of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. If you guys want to hear my full thoughts, comment below. If you want to see the Kagamin Thomas retrospective, I will make that happen for you guys. But second question, my friend here is asking, favorite Thomas the Tank Engine season? I would have to say season 5 from the classic series, and season 20 from the animated show. Season 5 because, in my opinion, it takes what Wilbert Audrey created, those characters, those locations, and it builds upon it in a very interesting way, very exciting and action-packed way. The character banter is very good. The character interactions are very raw and real. The cast, in my opinion, is very very well balanced. Of course, some characters get less screen time than others. That's to be expected as the cast continues to grow. But in my opinion, Season 5 had really good new characters. Granted, most of them didn't appear again, but they were good for this season. And I think the tone of Season 5 and the model work was all really great. I think the only real note on Season 5 is you can kind of tell the perceptions that David Mitton and Britt Allcraft, I think you can kind of tell their different ideas of who these characters were. From what I could tell, David Mitton seemed to think that Oliver was a shunting engine, which is interesting because Oliver's 2 episodes were literally about how he's inexperienced with trucks because he's a passenger engine. You know, he's an auto tank, a Great Western 1400 auto tank. Those guys did push-pull passenger services. They didn't really, they didn't specialize in trucks. So it was kind of interesting that David Mitton's perception of that character was a shunting engine. But at the same time, I also think it's an interesting perspective because I really like the idea of Machines and Thomas doing jobs that they weren't originally designed for. I think it leads to interesting stories. So I think Oliver being a shunting engine in Season 5 was an interesting take on the character, and it led to some pretty cool stories. But yeah, overall, I really like Season 5. Season 20, I just think it's the peak of CGI Thomas. Because, Season 17, they were just starting. Season 18, they were getting really good. They found their footing. Season 19, they were experimental, which I appreciated. But, it kind of lost its way a little bit. But Season 20, perfect. It did not get any better than that. Because Season 21, that was good. But then right after that, it was Big World, Big Adventures. It never got any better than that. Season 20 was the last really, really good Thomas anything. And again, I like Season 21, but if we're speaking as a complete package, Season 20 was the last really good Thomas production. And it breaks my heart that the show couldn't continue on in that state. But yeah, those are my 2 favorite Thomas seasons, Season 5 and Season 20. Might be a basic take, but I don't really believe in that because I feel like a lot of people just complain just to complain. Because how is that a basic take? If it's good, it's good. If it's good, and a lot of people think it's good, that doesn't mean they're bandwagoning. It just means the piece of art is good. Some of you people are so bored that you're over-analyzing the show to the point where you can't enjoy it. I like Season 20, okay? In fact, I like that whole era in general because a lot of people don't like the comedy in it. Me, personally, I like the comedy because it's you've been doing 20 seasons at that point. You might as well do something new with the show. Thomas was never a comedy before this. I mean, it had funny moments and, funny concepts, but it was never meant to make you laugh. I appreciate how in the later animated series they played around with jokes and slapstick and character banter, comedic character banter. I like that a lot. That's just my take. But yeah, I like Season 5 and Season 20. Your final question, can you count to 10 on video? I mean, sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. Love you guys. Thank you for these questions. Okay. Side Rod Studios asks, what are the pre-NWR engines in your AU? Okay. It's probably a good time that I mentioned that my first major project in my AU for Rolling Around on Sodor is an origin story for the NWR. So I'm probably not going to go into too much detail on this question, but I will give you the footnotes. In my AU, Edward and Emily are actually on Sodor. They predate the modern state of the NWR. They arrive on Sodor before it, and they're older engines in this timeline. We also have Glynn and several other coffee pot engines, and there is a tramway on the island of Sodor that predates the NWR too. That's all I'll say on that. My OC Dana, however you want to spell it, whom you guys see in the videos, she is going to be a Wellsworth and Sothery engine, and that's all I could say on that because the rest is spoilers. But thank you so much for taking interest. Are there any big basis swaps in your AU? Yes. And again, I have to speak vaguely because the series is not out yet. But what I will say is Paxton and Sydney, for one, are some Class 20s in my AU. I made the decision to make them Class 20s because I want to have more creative freedom with those characters and tell new stories that I couldn't tell if they stayed Gronks. And plus, I was just disinterested in having that many Gronks on Sodor. In my AU, I already have Diesel, Airy, Bird, Splatter, and Dodge. That's 5. we can cap it at 5. That's enough. Sodor's not a very big island. They can cap at 5. I changed Paxton Sydney for that reason. It was an idea that came to me when I was looking at alternative character bases, and a big inspiration to me is Bad Mannered Productions and his alternate takes on characters. Me and him disagree on a lot of other things. I disagree with certain things he's done. I'm sure he would disagree with certain stories I've done, but overall I really admire his work. I really love his work, and I would love to see more of his work. And you know, he's a big inspiration for me changing certain character bases. As far as other characters, and these aren't really Thomas characters, but Puffer Pete, Brewster, and Emery are different classes in my AU2. Puffer Pete is 1020 from the Railway series. Brewster is a wholly original concept, vaguely inspired by American F units, and Emery is a different class as well. I believe Emery is a BR 101, which is a different class from Daisy, I believe. It might be the same, might be different, but yeah, there's a story there I have planned. And a lot of you people might be asking, why would you make Brewster an F unit adjacent character when there's already one in Chuggington, Wilson? That is a great question. And it really just comes down to the shallow fact that I just like Brewster the best. I think he's the best of the main 3 Chuggers. Brewster is just so endearing. He's sort of like the lovable, gentle giant, overly cautious, overly friendly, sort of nerdy type character that I just really love. And I want Brewster to be in my series. In a lot of ways, in my series, Brewster and Wilson's personalities are kind of poured into this version of Brewster that I have. So my version of Brewster is kind of like a combination of Brewster and Wilson in a way. So I think that's really beautiful. And plus, Brewster is also in my series as a callback to those Thomas versus Brewster videos from the era of the Thomas versus Chuggington fandom wars, which I'm sure many of you old heads in the Thomas community may remember. And that's the scoop on any of the big basis swaps in my AU. There are more, but you'll have to wait and see for those in my upcoming series. Any original characters we can know about? Yes, Jasmine, who I've already mentioned, and there's also my take on the Mean Blue Engines, 98462 and 87546, who I have turned into new characters called Gwendolyn and Florence. Now, before someone inevitably comments this, I made the decision to do this long before any of that Richard Jordan stuff came out, because I personally, for my series, I have no interest in using OCs created by other people in the fandom, because I just want to have my series have its own unique identity, its own unique branding, and plus, I feel like every story under the sun with those characters has already been told. I don't want to just add another interpretation on top of that. I want to have my own characters. Now, originally, Alfred and those sort of characters were in my AU, but I took them out of it a long time ago, long before any of that Richard Jordan stuff, because I just wanted my series to be special and original. And this is something I tell my friend Jordan, JC, all the time, is what is the justification for me doing this? Why am I doing this Thomas series? And it's to tell original Thomas stories that no one's told before. And the way to do that is by having new characters. So yeah, the original characters I want you guys to know about are Gwendolyn and Florence. Unfortunately, I can't tell you much about them right now because spoilers, but please stay tuned on my channel for their eventual story coming really soon. You guys are gonna love it. And thank you for asking those questions. Up next, Goofy Goober 021 and Scarloey Studios. I've kind of merged you guys' questions because Scarloey Studios asked about my OC, and so did Goofy Goober, and Goofy Goober also asked a couple other questions, so I'll flash both of you guys up on the screen somewhere. But here are the questions. How have you been doing? Thank you so much for asking. I have been doing pretty good, I would say. I was going through a rough patch back in October. I'm not going to get into too much detail because, you know, I like to keep this channel focused on purely the content. I don't like to get too personal on this channel, but I did go through a pretty serious breakup back in October, which affected me for a really long time. It still affects me now, but, you know, things are looking up. I've been doing well in school. I'm on my break from school now. I've been doing a lot of stuff to be in a better headspace, and part of that is making videos for you guys. So thank you so much for making my day, always asking these questions, commenting, liking, sharing. It means a lot to me, and thank you for asking how I've been. I've been good, and yeah, that's the bottom line. What basis is your mascot supposed to be? Do you have any lore for your trained stoner that often appears in your thumbnails? He looks like a really friendly, nice guy. I don't have any in-universe lore just yet because this OC has kind of a complicated history. My OC was originally a 14XX back in 2017 and 2019 because my favorite Thomas and Friends character was Oliver. You know, since I was a kid, I really loved Oliver, so I made myself like an Oliver type character. Then around 2019, my close personal friend helped me redesign the character into a Fowler dock tank as a means of being more original. And at the time, my character had originally had American-style cow catchers and bells, stack, and lamp, because I was copying another friend, ex-friend at the time, who had an OC that was like a James with like a big American stack, a big sort of cow catcher, the sort of American shebang. He had that OC. I was sort of copying him because I wanted to be in this person's mutual friend group because I thought they were cool at the time. But this eventually evolved to my character having tram skirts. I believe that was the idea of the friend who redesigned my character. And that sort of evolved into my character being like a pseudo-tram in a lot of ways. And my character also has a very strange lava lamp-shaped funnel. I believe that's because the Lego that my friend used to represent my funnel on my toy model, that was like a cylinder type like cone Lego piece, so that's why my funnel looks like that. And when I drew my character, I just copied that instead of looking at any real life engine funnels. So that's kind of a funny lore there. The vast majority of the art and edits of my mascot and the videos are actually from 2023 because I was originally planning on making a series out of my train Sona and other train Sonas, though the project fell through because I had a falling out with someone who was a part of the production. But I ended up recycling all those assets, or at least most of them, when I created this channel, because I was like, hey, I need a mascot. I got all this stuff from 3 years ago that I'm not using. I might as well use it, and the rest is history. And I plan to rewrite new lore and slightly redesign my Sona soon to fully cement this new era that we're all in. And I greatly appreciate the continued interest in my character. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, my Sona's name is Kagamin. Originally, it shared my real name, Vance, but I changed it to the character's name to match with my channel's branding and identity. So yeah, the character's name is Kagamin. I'm Kagamin, but I'm also Vance. Hopefully that's not too confusing for you guys, so that's the lore on that. Will we see another Thomas 2026 video on the new stuff revealed? Yes. Thank you so much for the positive reception on those videos. You guys really like my opinions, my takes. You guys really like my vibe. You guys really like my buddy JC, who comes in and do the sketches. JC is a close personal friend of mine. We've known each other pretty much our entire lives since I was 4 years old, you know what I mean? That dude is hilarious. He's not like a Thomas fan originally, but he sort of came into it because of me. He became interested in it because of me. He's currently reading through the Railway series and, you know, trying to get his own understanding of it. That's the kind of friend that JC is. He's the type of friend to, like, if you're interested in something, he's going to get into it or, like, try to get into it to, like, understand your brain, sort of get your psyche so you can have another thing to bond over. And I really respect Jordan for doing that because I never pushed it onto him. It was his choice to become more involved in the whole Thomas scene, which I really appreciate. But yes, there will be another Thomas 2026 video. Expect to see another one sometime this year. And finally, what would the next custom be? And since you guys watched through this long Q&A video, I figured you deserve to know the next custom will be on Tidmouth Roundhouse. That's right, Tidmouth Roundhouse from the Railway series. One of my first custom showcases was on the Tidmouth Sheds. You know, the normal Tidmouth Sheds from the early days of Sodor till about 1950 or so. That was only part one of my custom Tidmouth Sheds. The part two is the Tidmouth Roundhouse, which you guys are going to see real soon. So again, thank you for the continued interest. And my buddy over here also said, here's to 10,000 subs, Kagamin. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you for watching, and I appreciate the good vibes. Island of Sodor Films. I've known this guy for years, since like 2017. He used to be in a lot of circles that I was a part of. Mad respect to you for commenting on my video, bruh. He made some customs on my own characters. I appreciate that. He was just a tried and true OG. Respect him. But on to his questions. Any plans to adapt James in the Super ED? Presently, no. However, that could change. I'm open to finding a place for ED's supposed basis, or perhaps even ED himself, in my series rolling around on Sodor. Maybe he could be a Peel Godred engine or something, because the Peel Godred Electric Railway is a concept I'm going to explore in my series. You know, who knows. That being said, I did write a script for a Super ED adaptation. It's not related to rolling around on Sodor, but if you want to read that, there's a link to it in the description. I must warn you, though, it is very campy and very silly. Island of Sodor Films also asks, have I ever seen Regular Show? Yes, I have. I watched Regular Show when it was airing. I saw all 7 seasons, the movies, the finale, It's an amazing show, one of Cartoon Network's best, and a top 10 anime show of all time easily. There is a reboot of it out. I've only actually seen the first 2 episodes of it, and from what I could tell, it's very good. It's basically the same show. JG Quintel still got it. It's kind of unfortunate that everything's kind of a reboot now because no one wants new IPs. I feel like kids of this generation deserve their own, like, new media to enjoy, if you get what I mean. But at the same time, you know, so long as it's a good product, I guess that's all that matters. So long as it's a high quality show, and the new regular show is a high quality show. So mad respect to JG Quintel and Cartoon Network. Mad respect to you, Island of Sodor Films, for asking these questions. I really appreciate it. Now we're coming on to some questions from my homie Freddie, and I believe these are the final questions. Freddie, thank you so much for commenting. Freddie was my best friend in middle school. Really love that guy. He helped me out a lot on my old channel. He was the co-creator of my old series. Mad respect to you, homie. Freddie asked what motivated me to come back to content creation. Truthfully, it was my ex-girlfriend at the time. It was Jordan and my internet friends. Same ones from the meme series days. You guys know who you are. And the general desire to take a big leap and do something happy. Because around, you know, early last year, I was going through a lot of stuff. And I just wanted to make something that would make people happy, make myself happy, stretch my creative muscles. Because I really wasn't doing creative stuff around this time last year. And you know, I have my ex-girlfriend and I have Jordan and I have my friends in real life and online to thank for coming back to YouTube, because they are the reason I was motivated to come back to content creation, because I love making stuff, but I never really had the sort of confidence to put myself out there properly again after the first time, and my friends really just pushed me to go the extra mile and make it happen. So mad respect to you guys and mad respect to my ex-girlfriend. I love you guys very much. Thank you for all you did for me and all you continue to do for me in the case of my friends. What is the most fun part of content creation? Man, I gotta say everything, man. The writing, the directing, the acting, the editing, the custom making in the case of the Thomas videos, the like field work and the field research I do on real life for Kagamin. I love this, and I hope I can do this forever. I love doing YouTube videos. To me, this is fun, and if YouTube isn't something that you're this excited about, I feel like you just shouldn't be doing it, you feel me? Because I just love YouTube so much. I'm sure Freddie can attest to that. I annoyed that guy a lot back in middle school, trying to get him to be a part of my videos and watch my videos and that whole scene. I kind of feel bad, admittedly, because, you know, there was a lot of stuff he wanted to do, and I feel like I didn't support him as well on those ventures. But, you know, it was the past. So to Freddie, thank you so much for supporting me back then. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry if I didn't support you enough on your individual endeavors. If I could go back in time, I would have done all the same support to you that you gave me. But, you know, I just wanted to share that part of the fun part of content creation. And Freddie, I really hope you continue to make content of your own as well, because I was watching your Dragon Ball videos. I was really entertained by them. I hope you continue those as well. And the final question Freddie asked is, who wins in a fight, Splatter and Dodge with Prep Time or Drunk Mr. Hill? Obviously, it will be me, bro. Splatter and Dodge got nothing on these hands. Be real, Freddy. Don't you remember what I'm all about? Come on now. We got Mr. Hill in the big 2026. I think only some of you will get that reference. But, yeah, that's the end of the questions. That's the end of the questions. And Head Freddy also says thank you and congrats on 1,000 subscribers. And here's to many more subscribers. Thank you, my boy, Tramway Gang. You know, I love you, Freddie. Mad respect to you. I'm really glad that we're still talking, even if it's in smaller doses. And thank you so much for rounding out this beautiful Q&A. Thank you guys so much for watching. I apologize if this video is scatterbrained or if I'm a little less focused than I normally am. It's very hot. I've been talking a lot. This water started cold at the start of this video, and now it's room temperature, almost warm. So, you know, I'm pooped. I just want to drink some water and rest for a bit. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I cannot stress enough how big of a milestone this is. Each and every one of you is important to my journey, and I thank you guys so much for making me feel special. And I thank you guys so much for engaging with my content all these years. I love you guys. We're going to do more Q&As in the future as I hit more subscriber milestones. Be sure to stay tuned for more Kagamin's Customs, crazy convos, vlogs, stuff on my second channel, rolling around on Sodor related stuff. There's a lot coming. You guys are going to be really hyped for it. I got some crazy plans for this channel. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for this. It means a lot to me. I'm really glad that I have the opportunity to make the crazy stuff that I make and do the crazy things that I do, whether it be the past or, you know, the present or the future. I'm just really glad to be doing this stuff, and I'm really excited for what comes next on the channel. Thank you guys so much for being the best fans, friends, and family ever, and bye for now. Bye, everyone!